Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business. Looking forward to talking to Josh Whalen. Josh, it's great to connect with you. You are the CEO of Blokes.co. So it's great to connect. We're talking, Think Community, we're talking about health today. Every business, we talk a lot about business, but we also, in many cases, talk about health. And today we're going to talk about health with Josh and his company, Blokes, which is modern men's health. Josh, talk to me about your journey with health and how we got to blokes.co.
Well, I think you brought up a good point. Health and wellness and business go hand in hand, and we
Yeah.
all realize that, especially when stress levels start to peak out. How Blokes was started was my personal struggle with hormones. My wife gave me the ultimate final word of divorce. I finally listened to her after about three or four different threats, and I went and saw a physician, and I realized my hormones were totally in the pits, to the point that I had no libido, to the point that I was gaining weight around the areas I didn't want to gain weight, to the point that I was losing focus. The entrepreneur in me saw an opportunity. It was an arduous process to go through two different primary cares, sit in waiting rooms, drive out of my way to go see a doctor that I could be doing therapies at home. And that's when Blokes was born. And we bring all these therapies to your house, and we try to make it as simple, with a ton of clinical guidance from our hormone experts, to bring these therapies to your home.
So I want to talk about simple, but I want to talk about, you're having these symptoms. How does someone who's listening, because I agree with you, business and health goes hand in hand.
Sure.
We're only as good as our health. And so how does somebody know they even need your services?
For my situation, it was my partner. My partner was noticing things were off. For men and women, a lot of things can change as we age. When we hit about that 30-year-old mark is when our cellular activity, our hormones, our body function just starts to change. For me, it was small symptoms. Was I getting weight in the areas that I didn't want it to happen? Was I losing energy throughout the day, drinking too much coffee to make up for that? Did I feel like I just was a little bit more foggy in the brain? I mean, those are common symptoms to start noticing that your health is changing, your hormones are changing. I like to give the analogy that it's somewhat like snoring. Your partner is going to notice it before you do, and
Yeah.
your partner is the one that's suffering. And I think it's I think for men, this is a hard thing. I think it's just being honest. I think it's just taking a step back, and realizing if you're starting to plateau in life in so many different categories, and then maybe just peel the onion back and take a hard look at your health.
Yeah. Let's talk about, I want to go back to what you talked about when you talked about simple. I want to talk a little bit about how your system works. You
Sure.
offer a lot of different things, but I think in today's world, in a post pandemic world, many people are used to going online for things that in an e-commerce world that they never thought they really would. And this type of stuff is one of them. And so talk a little bit about how it works and how simple you make it.
Yeah, it truly is that, and I think there's a beautiful thing happening post COVID with telehealth and e-commerce and the whole business side of health coming together. And I think that positions us in a really good spot. But it's as simple as going online to blokes.co, or for the women, it's choosejoy.co, filling out a very basic questionnaire. At that point, my team contacts you within 24 hours. We get you on the schedule with one of our expert providers. Depending on which route you go, whether it's peptide therapy, hormone optimization, we will determine whether or not you need an actual lab. We have three services actually that we offer. One is an at-home testing device. The other is we send a phlebotomist or nurse out to your home. And then certainly last not least, if you want to save a few bucks, you can go to the LabCorp yourself. And then we get all those results, and then we have that official appointment, and then we make a determination based off of needs, goals, and symptoms, of what therapy we think is best for you.
It's great. It's great. Sounds great. It sounds like you've got a great system put in place. I would think that somebody who's coming to your site would say, "Well, how do I know this is legit? How do I know that this guidance is real? How do I know that what they're prescribing is actually real meds, and
Yeah.
so how do you answer those questions?
Well, I think it is a big question for a consumer, especially when we're overloaded with information. We're
Yeah,
overloaded with products. I think first and foremost, look at the pedigree of the people that are actually giving you this information. One thing that is so important when you start talking about hormones and peptide therapy is ensuring that it's coming from an actual nurse practitioner, a physician's assistant, an MD or a DO, and asking about their skill set. I look at hormones in the last 10 years, and more importantly, last 5 years, it's become so specialized. And it would be the equivalent of going to your OBGYN and asking them about your knee. It is really that specialized. So just doing a little bit of research on the company, realizing that these scripts are coming from actual pharmacies, compounded pharmacies, accredited pharmacies that are regulated by state boards, that are also regulated by the FDA, because that's where all this product's coming from. And then just doing a little bit of diligence on the actual provider themselves.
yeah. Let's talk about costs,
Yep.
because it's not cheap. I don't think this is. Tell me, is this covered by insurance or is this out of pocket? I'm thinking it's out of pocket. But how do talk about investment versus expense versus kind of budgeting for this type of stuff?
Yeah, it's not covered by insurance. At least the vast majority of these cases are not covered by insurance. It's still considered an elective procedure. I tend to look at preventative and proactive healthcare or something that's never covered by insurance. The average primary care doc spends about 11 minutes with their patient anymore, and that is to me is the sick care model. Our minimum investment with our hormone optimization plan is around $149 a month.
Yeah,
That includes all your labs, that includes all your fees, that includes all your medications, your oversight. So to me, it's not a huge investment over an annual period, considering you can go out to dinner and if you're taking your wife out and you get one glass of wine, it's $150 anymore.
yeah,
And then it can go up as high as you want. I mean, we treat patients that are just standard hormone patients to what I would call your former athlete or your biohacker that's going to do everything under the sun
yeah,
for optimization. And I would say our average consumer spends around $190 to $250 a month in their
yeah,
care. But these are truly life-changing therapies. These are things that can truly optimize an individual within 90 to 120 days. And I look at it as lifestyle changes,
yeah.
lifestyle therapies.
Yeah, I love it. You say biohacker. This reminds me, like you remind, like Ben Greenfield.
Yeah.
He's got a great podcast. He tries everything. Yeah, and
Yep.
so he's fun to watch. All right, well, this is great. I appreciate the tutorial, and I think this is something that a lot of people are not talking about, and it's good that you are talking about it. Quick speed round for you, Josh. You ready?
Sure.
All right, a book that's had the biggest impact on you.
Well, recently it's a book on peptide sciences. I read it almost once a month. I've read it at least a few dozen times. It's a fun book. But anything else, I'm a nonfiction guy. I
Yeah,
love economics, anything that's related to business. I love anything Malcolm Gladwell puts down.
yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's good.
Yep.
His reads are really good. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
Um, that's a good one. More recently, trust the process.
Yeah,
Everything comes together for the right reasons.
yeah.
We tend to overthink and overstress the small things. And as I get older, as I age as a parent, I realize the power of patience.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. Yeah, I have a 16 and 19-year-old, so
Well,
especially when they're younger, for sure.
yep.
Finish this sentence. Last question. One thing everybody should do to prioritize their health is.
Be proactive.
Yeah, I love it. Tell everybody who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you, Josh.
Listen, our ideal client is somebody that is ready to make change, and it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your background. If you are ready to make changes in the health department, that is the ideal client. We have people who come to us who are the right candidates, in my opinion, but are not willing to make lifestyle changes. What we do is we get you to the finish line quicker. There's no
Yeah,
magic bullet, there's no magic shot. And these therapies are guaranteed to do that. That's for sure.
I love it. Think community, Josh. First of all, thank you so much for being on the show. Congratulations on your business and your recent move, which we talked about just quickly before we got online. Think community. We talk a lot about business, and sometimes in all of our lives, we get stuck in some level of health in our world. Take care of yourself, be healthy, make good choices, and if Josh can help you, you can reach him at blokes.co. Josh, I appreciate you being on the show. Think community, thanks for always tuning in. If you can get Josh again at blokes.co, and for any coaching needs you need, you can visit johndwoskin.com. Thanks, everybody. Josh, thanks so much.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.